4-step vocabulary routine. This routine is an expectation that every classroom will pick 2 to 3 words before they do their storybook read aloud each day. A little bit on the why of 4-step vocabulary. The research is very clear that when we teach with very shallow definitions and just skimming on what a word means, it doesn't become part of the child's vocabulary. So we need to take those words and go in great depth with them, so it does get cemented into their brain. There's some great research on it, and if you're interested in reading, there's one that the Young Exceptional Children Journal put out about explicit vocabulary instruction, and there's many other resources to support the why and in the importance of doing this with the kiddos each day. So first, let's get to it. The first thing you need to do is introduce the word. So if your word, let's say, is exhausted, you say the exhausted, and then you have the children repeat the word to you. Make sure that they can pronounce the word, and then you give them a student-friendly definition. Exhausted means very tired. And what does exhausted mean? Very tired. Give them that student-friendly definition. And then step 3, you need to illustrate with examples of concrete examples, visual examples, a gesture. Add a gesture in, and verbal examples. If you have the real thing, for instance, if you're teaching the word apron, have the real thing, or stem. Have a flower, so you have the visual to show the stem. Gestures, and I always like to add in those non-examples, what it is not. So, for example, if you're teaching exhausted, if I stayed up all night long watching movies, the next morning I would be exhausted. Getting your body language into it, getting the kids' bodies involved in the exploring of the definition. When I'm exhausted, my eyes look sleepy and I yawn a lot. So then step 4 is just checking for understanding. Do they understand what you've just taught them? And I like using yes or no and giving examples and non-examples. Would you be exhausted if you slept well all night and didn't have to get up early to go anywhere? Would you be exhausted? Well, hopefully they go like this and say, no, I would not be exhausted. I would be well rested. Or exhausted if you ran around your house 15 times and then stayed up till the middle of the night. Would you be exhausted? Hopefully they say, yes, I would be exhausted. Another way you can do it is give them a sentence to generate, start the sentence and let them finish it, or some total physical response of using their body to explain if they understand or not. So when teaching 4-step vocabulary, what words do you use? You want to tune into your tier 2 words. So in Isabel Beck's work, she did a lot of, she explains to us, like, tier 1 words are those words that are everyday words that basic words that they learn on their own just from exposure: chair, floor, mom, dad, grass. Tier 2 words are the words that you want to focus in on. Those are the ones that are common enough that they've heard them before and they're familiar with them, but we really want to cement them into their brains. So tier 2 words are the ones that you want to target. Tier 3 words are the low frequency words that are often domain specific. So an example of a tier 3 word would be isotope, or lathe, peninsula, swoon. Those are examples of tier 3 words that probably not going to spend a lot of time on. When you're reading in your book, will you do a quick definition of them? Of course, but we don't want to take the time to go deep with them, just because they're not going to need them as often. So using those tier 2 words and pulling those out of your read alouds. So for example, if you had this sentence, Jose avoided playing the ukulele, what word would you pick? The two words that stand out as possible vocabulary words are avoided and ukulele. So if you're going to get the most bang for your buck, the one that you would want to choose is avoided. Ukulele is a little bit domain specific. So targeting those tier 2 words and going deep with those definitions. So take the time and watch a real example that in a classroom. The video is posted right alongside this one, and watch it in action. Thanks.